apocalypse.
Greetings, comrades. This is Unforgiving Caleb, and it's been a while since I've done a video like this on my secondary channel. Yeah, it's just mouse pad's a little filthy, but whatever. But yeah, as you can see here, I'm getting a new CPU. I'm finally switching to Ryzen. Now, long story short, my current motherboard, my Asus Z170A, has been on the fritz, and just to get a little more technical, please move this out of the way. Okay, you can barely see it, but where the M.2 drive is, behind that is a boot drive LED. And a few weeks ago, when I tried to start it up, it would stay lit and it wouldn't boot up. So I read some solutions online to, reseat the RAM, which I did. Yeah, I know it's a mess, but I'll don't worry, I'll fix once I get my new motherboard and stuff. But anyway, I tried reseating the RAM. At first it worked for a bit, then then it happened again, so I reseated a few more times, and it didn't work. And then eventually tried to boot to safe mode, so I had to get to the BIOS and downclock the CPU. Well, the first time I downclocked the CPU before I had to 4.5, then I decided to overclock to 4.7, now I downgraded it to 4.4. And the second time I did the RAM, I set it to 2400 megahertz because that's what it's rated for, but it didn't work, so I had to downclock the RAM a bit to I think 2100, around there. So I'm not really taking full advantage of the speeds that they're meant for, but all in all, I figured it's time for me to make the switch to Ryzen. To be honest, this motherboard and the CPU is starting to show its age. You got to keep in mind, I'm using an i5-6600K, which is a Skylake processor that it's almost 5 years old now, and the Ryzen 5 series is not even 1 year old. And I was originally going to get the 3600X, so I could do a little overclocking, but I figured after that, after messing around with the i5 there, I figured I'm not going to go overclocking this time around. But yeah, you can see here, AMD Ryzen 5 3600, 6 cores, 12 threads, and of course it got a 3.6 gigahertz base clock and a 4.2 gigahertz max boost. But as I mentioned, I'm not going to overclock. But even though the standard 3600 blows the i5 I have out of the water, I'll get to that here in a second. But first, as we all know, a lot of these Ryzen processors come with the Wraith core. I believe this is the Wraith Spire. I'm not sure. This includes AMD Ryzen processors, premium core design. Yeah, it just says premium core. It doesn't say what kind of thing it is. So give me a second. I'm going to take it out of the box and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I'm going to be honest here. When I got the package, I heard a little bit of rattling. At first, I thought it was something wrong with the core, but no, it turns out part of the packaging for the core kind of broke off and had a few shards. It actually got stuck on the thermal paste, but yeah, I'm actually going to clean that off. I know it already comes pre-powered thermal paste, but I prefer to use my own, which I still got my I still got a few thermal compounds, especially including the one that came with the my current core. This is the Fantex thermal compound that came with my Fantex core. But I also got some Arctic Freeze. Come on, I forgot where I put it. It should be in the same thing actually. But yeah, I'll be cleaning that off because you can barely see it. But yeah, some of the shards of the plastic fell on there. But again, it's going to be a week or so before I get the motherboard, so I'm going to have to clean it off anyway. But anyway, back to what we got here. So here it is, the Ryzen 5 3600 with accompanying sticker. And I'm going to take the one off my case. And actually, let me look through here. Yep, all the pins look good. No bending or anything. It's good. And of course, we got the Yeah, like warranty cards, instructions, but it says here, 400 series motherboards. Yeah, I ordered a B450M, or I think B450, whatever. But yeah, it's an Asrock motherboard. It's not gonna come until next week or so, so it'll be a while till I swap this out, and it'll give me an excuse to fix up the cable management on my PC. I can tell you that. But yeah, please visit manufacturing motherboards that show the AMD Ryzen 3000 desktop ready label on the box are compatible without requiring a BIOS update. So I believe the ASRock motherboard order is compatible, but if not, I can update the BIOS. I know how. But yeah, basically installation instructions, and of course here's the cooler itself, an AMD Wraith cooler. Nothing too special, but you know what? I'm definitely gonna go with this because I've heard nothing but good things about the stock coolers. AMD, even these are a lot better than Intel's stock coolers. You gotta admit that, especially considering that the overclock variants don't even come with coolers, so they kind of rely on you having to get aftermarket coolers. But I've seen a lot of builds with Ryzen. It doesn't matter what Ryzen is; they almost always use a stock cooler because it's that good. An interesting thing, for those who aren't familiar with Ryzen motherboards, like the AM3 or AM4 chipsets, they have these little brackets like above on the top and bottom of the CPU socket. You have to take those brackets out before you can install the cooler. So minor step to do, but you know, I think it's worth it considering my first PC was an old FM2 Plus, and getting a new core on there was a pain in the ass. Like, you pretty much have to take the motherboard out before you can. Well, at least how I did it, you can't take it out. You can't put in the CPU without taking the motherboard out. Because I gotta remember, my first PC was a pre-built. But anyway, there's the Ryzen 5 3600, and give me a minute and I'll show you how it compares to my current CPU. Okay, so I got the user benchmark site open here. I know it's a little shaky. I don't have a tripod, and even if I did have one, it'd be hard to put one right in front of the keyboard. But anyway, so here's my current CPU. It's an i5 6600K. Of course, super suited by the 7600K, but yeah, $190, 4 cores, 4 threads at 3.5 gigahertz. A Skylake processor, so this is bordering on 5 years, people. And I've only had this PC set for about 3 years. And it still works and stuff, but it's starting to show its age. And especially when it comes to VR performance, it's kind of sluggish, so I figured it's time to upgrade to this. Now, as I mentioned before, the Ryzen 5 3600, I didn't get the 3600X, so I'm not going to overclock this time around, but I already looked for this. Even the base 3600 will blow the 6600K out of the water. I know it sounds like 6600K, you know, I talk fast when it comes to numerals and stuff, but whatever. And yeah, this chipset's not even a year old. And it's cheaper too, $172. Roughly the same price I bought mine. But again, 6 cores, 12 threads, a 3.6 gigahertz base clock. And as you saw in the box, it's up to 4.2 gigahertz for the boost clock. But you can see the benchmarks here. Yeah, it's... yeah, the 6600K, 81% for gaming, 85% for desktop, 61% for workstation. But then you look at the Ryzen 5 side, little better gaming, slightly better desktop, but a lot better in workstation. Which, yeah, slightly faster effective speed. You see, the i5's 80.6%, whereas the Ryzen 5, 84.7%. Big difference. But, yeah, since I'm doing more streaming on YouTube, and since I'm, you know, processing videos for my second channel, having the extra cores and threads will really help out. Especially if I'm able to stick my other 2 RAM sticks in there. These are my Corsair Vengeance LPX DDR4 RAM. These are clocked at 2400 megahertz, so I don't have 3200 megahertz RAM yet. But I'm going to use these first, and if these don't work out, then I'll buy the 3200 megahertz RAM. But 16 gig is more than enough, but I'm kind of trying to aim for 32 gigs like I did before. Now, first let's go through the i5 stats. Okay, so you have a lower memory latency, 88.1 points as opposed to 78.9 of the Ryzen 5. Has a slightly lower OC memory latency, 96.4 points as opposed to 88.6. And very slight when it comes to the 1-core, 2-core performance. But as you see, again, even the non-overclockable version blows this out of the water. Look at this. Faster single-core, dual-core, quad-core speed. Hugely faster octa-core speed. That's pretty significant. Much faster OC octa-core speed. And yeah, hugely higher market share, slightly better value. Much more popular. It is a very popular chip. You know, the Ryzen 5 chips, they're killing it in the mid-range department. Of course, Ryzen 7's killing it in the high range. And we all know about Threadripper. So yeah. And of course, as I said, it's a little cheaper. I can see $18 less than the i5. Again, much more recent. You can see the Skylake processors bordering on 5 years, and this is barely hitting 1 year. Much more recent. More energy efficient too. This is 91 watts, whereas the Ryzen 5 65 watts. And again, 2 more cores, 6 cores, 12 threads. As far as I can tell, my CPU doesn't have hyper-threading. I don't know if this does either, but that's no big deal for me. Of course, and it's newer manufacturing. This is 14 nanometer architecture. This is 7 nanometer. And of course, gets a slightly higher base clock. It does have a slightly faster turbo clock, but like I said, I'm not going to do overclocking this time around. And hugely faster OC 64 core speed and normal 64 core speed. Yeah, I can talk. But yeah, Zen 2, AM4. No integrated graphics, but you know, who uses integrated graphics these days? Unless you're building like a home theater PC or anything like that. But this is a gaming rig, and yes, I still have my good old 1060. It's still working good. I've only had that card for 2 years. I'm not going to upgrade right now. But if it does give out, then I'll have an excuse to switch to the RTX cards. Yeah, better, higher average bench. And yeah. The proof's in the pudding. The Ryzen 5 3600 blows like 6600K out of the water. And I might as well show off the B450M Gaming K4. I don't think it's showing on here. For some reason it's not letting me select it. I think this is just for CPUs, not motherboards. Yeah. But anyway, I thought I'd show that a little bit. Show you that this little guy is going to annihilate that guy. And I don't need another core, because again, it comes with this AMD Wraith cooler. Can't tell what version. It's obviously not the RGB one. The Spire one's a little taller, if I remember correctly. So it's just like a normal Wraith, but even this is more than enough to cool this bad boy. Again, and I'm not really overclocking, so yeah. So hopefully, not only be a more stable system, hopefully, but also perform better, especially when it comes to VR, because I've been playing Boneworks, a little more HD VR lately. I'm really getting into the VR gaming scene now. Granted, I don't have too many VR games, you know, HD VR, Job Simulator, Boneworks, Pavlov, and a few other games. I haven't bought any new VR games during the summer sale, but that's not a priority for me. But yeah, this little bad boy, it's going to be a good time, alright. But as I mentioned, the motherboard's not going to come till next week or so, and I'm going to try the RAM I do have, and it should work on this new motherboard, but if not, then I'll buy the RAM later. Because RAM prices are surprisingly cheap right now. Like, I can get a 16 gig kit for 3200 megahertz for just under $70. So if that becomes a case, then I'll get 2 of those, and yeah, not only have a beastly gaming PC again, but have a nice little workstation too. You know, hopefully processing videos and streaming will go a lot more smoothly. But anyway, just thought I'd show you this little video, and I'm looking forward to trying this bad boy out once the motherboard comes in. But yeah, this is Mugens and Caleb signing out. Y'all have a good day. Okay, bonus clip. Now, this was not expected. Okay, so I haven't even started processing. I barely started processing the video while I was, you know, I just barely started making it on Davinci, but my motherboard actually came in today. I was not expecting it to come the same day as my processor. You hear that, Mr. Ryzen 5 3600? You're gonna get used today, hopefully. So yeah, this is the motherboard I ordered, the Asrock Fatality Gaming Gear B450 Gaming K4, and this is one of the only motherboards I could find that was well within my price range. All the others were either out of stock or overpriced, but yeah, I want to go with a simple motherboard it doesn't have any fancy like RGB or, you know, red lines and stuff like that. I'm going for a black and blue build after all, and this is all black, so it's good for me. And how about that? AMD Ryzen 3000 desktop ready. So, don't need to update the BIOS, but let's see what else it has. Also go for the previous generation of Ryzen, you know, if you still have the old ones. Supports Athlon 2XXG series, AMD Raven Ridge 2 ready, okay. Ryzen, Asrock Polychrome Sync, AMD Crossfire, HDMI, and Sound Blaster Cinema 5. And yeah, let's go and check the back real quick. So yeah. And one of the cool features I didn't know about this motherboard until I saw the pictures after I ordered it. The PCIe slot's made of steel, so there's no graphics card lag. It prevents signal interference. Her heavy graphics cards are well installed. Now, again, my 1060 over here, get my mic out of the way. It's kind of a full-size card, but it's not super heavy or anything, so that PCIe slot's still holding good, even though it's not steel enforced. This one is. And how about this? 2 M.2 slots. So if I want to get another M.2 drive, I can. So yeah, digital smooth efficient CPU V-core voltage, which again, I'm not going to overclock or anything. And one feature I'm kind of, you know, nice to have, but you know, I'm not really going to use it unless I get new fans. Polychrome RGB, basically. Alright, so we just took it out of the box. Well, we opened the box anyway. So there's a little SATA cable for hard drives and stuff. There's a little screw. I'm going to assume, yeah, I'm going to assume this is the screw for the M.2 drives. Yeah, there's 2 of them. So yeah, I guess these are the M.2 screws. Let's see. Installing memory instructions. Okay. Inside Bristol Edge. Okay. Hopefully I can use all my RAM cards this time around. But yeah, here's a setup guide. That later. Quick installation. There's an I/O shield. Definitely a must-have. And of course, we got the motherboard itself. I'm not going to take it out of the electrostatic bag yet, but if we can just look through the I/O here, there's definitely quite a bit. Now, let's see. So we got, still got a PS2 connector. If you still have that, we got some USB slots there. There's got a DVI port there. We got HDMI. Another display port, and we got 5 USB 3.1 slots, as well as a Type-C. And there's the Ethernet port, audio connections, and yeah, that's it. Oh, look at that. Yeah, there's a lot of light, so you can't really see that well, but yeah. There's a nice looking motherboard that's nice, All black glory. Now, this is the only other motherboard I used. I never used an Asrock motherboard before, so I'm curious how this works out. So, I guess, I'll finish processing this video here, then I'll start setting this up. So, wish me luck.